Let's look at some of the first half statistics. We won't look on that way.
Well, you can
Definitely not as hot as it was earlier when that sun was on the artificial surface.
I think as you look at Guy McIntyre there, too, the other thing the time of possession does besides wear down the defense, it frustrates the other offense. And I think the 49er offense, because they don't have the ball enough, has a little frustration from that.
Particularly it frustrates the quarterback. Murray's kick sails to Dexter Carter and sails out of the end zone. We talked earlier during the broadcast about the great players involved here. Look at the numbers on Steve Young and Troy Aikman.
Well, I think that you know that's about what you'd expect. I think the big thing are the other guys. I mean, Young has done his job. Aikman has probably done his job. But here's the story. Ricky Waters only carried the ball 4 times, 16 yards. He has to get more involved. Emmitt Smith, 15 for 59 yards. He has to start having some more success.
This time Ricky Waters splits wide to the left. Now he moves inside.
Turn both ends off.
Yeah, they've been using him as kind of like a decoy. I mean, I think it's all right for a while, that you put him as a decoy, but somewhere you have to start running the ball to him. And then here's the other story, Jerry Rice. He's your playmaker on offense. If you're going to win, Jerry Rice has to make plays. He only has 2 receptions. On the other side, look at what Michael Irvin has done in that first half.
John, what's happened now is they've turned all of those clocks on the field off. And the official time again will be kept strictly on the field. They're all on sync. Young to Brent Jones, hit by Norton.
Steve Young's pass is complete to number 84, Brent Jones. He has written.
Yeah, you watch Guy McIntyre come out fired up, and you knew that that he was going to make his block. Watch him, the left guard there. He's going against Russell Maryland, and that's a pretty good battle. And Guy McIntyre is not a big, strong back guy, but he's a very good technician, good run blocker, and one of the best pulling guards in football. And I think he's doing a pretty good job in his battle with Russell Maryland today.
Indeed he is. 2nd and 3. Young to Ricky Waters. Waters has the 49ers first down outside their 35 to about the 36. Stopped by Dixon Edwards.
Here's where they're going to run. They're going to run right here in this hole right here. See, you look for a bubble, and that's what the bubble is right there. So you look for the bubble, then you get the double team. See McIntyre come down, get the double team, then you turn Haley out, then you get the lead block, and you run right at the bubble. The bubble is where the linebacker is between the 2 defensive linemen. Turn in on a double team, turn out, and lead block in the linebacker.
Young again to Waters, same spot. The tackle made by Larry Brown as he cut down Waters.
That was a heck of a tackle by Larry Brown because there was a big hole there for Ricky Waters, and usually when Waters gets in the open field, he's not going to be tackled by one guy or not the first guy. And you see what Brown knows, you're not a big guy. Brown's not a big guy. Little guys have always been taught when you only weigh 180 pounds, you go for the guy at his lowest point. Larry Brown went for Ricky Waters' ankles.
And he only got a yard. 2nd and 9. Brent Jones in motion. Young back to throw. Whirled it to Logan. Logan still on his feet. Got about 3 or 4 extra yards on his own. Dragging Dixon Edwards.
Well, it looked like Dixon Edwards got him, and then he was going to be in a spinner, and he just spun him for some more first down. Watch Logan here as he catches. Now he starts to spin. And Edwards spins him right around, and Logan just keeps going. That's like some kind of game you would play, where you whip a guy, you grab his arm, and then you turn him, and then you whip him and throw him up somewhere.
I haven't played that game lately.
Yeah, well, you used to be. Remember, you always had a whipper.
3rd and short. Young straight ahead for the San Francisco first down. Stopped by Casillas. With help from others.
Steve Young.
That's one of the advantages of having a big, strong quarterback is an additional play you can run on short yardage. And that's what Steve Young did then. You just take the ball and you find a soft spot, just kind of fall into it. And he did that time right behind a fired-up Guy McIntyre.
Haley sort of takes the outside move. McIntyre gets a good block inside. This time Haley went inside. Pass incomplete. Ricky Waters, the intended receiver.
Yeah, Ricky Waters made a big thing this week that he was as good or better than Emmitt Smith, and you know, he has a point. I mean, he was a Pro Bowl running back last year, as was Emmitt Smith, and I think that guys really get into it when they play against each other. And Ricky Waters was looking for a big game today, and he talked about it during the week. It fired up that Cowboy defense, and maybe that's why the 49ers have used him mostly as a decoy so far.
Could be. Second down. Blitz coming. Young is down. Struggled for a moment. He's hit by Darren Smith, and nobody blocked him.
Darren Smith is that starting linebacker now, the rookie linebacker. When they move Ken Norton into the inside, they move Darren Smith out there. Watch him, he's right up here on top. He just comes right off that corner from his backside. No one blocks him, and he's strong enough to get him down with Charles Haley helping him there a little. Geez, now that's too soon. I mean, a rookie, you don't go to that stuff, put your hand up to you there when you're a rookie.
He's only been starting a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's too soon. Too much celebration for too little too soon.
Third down. They need about 17. The rush again. They had a screen pass call to Waters. Waters hit. It appears to be a yard or so short of a first down.
Boy, did he have a collision with Thomas Everett. Everett still straightening out his helmet on that one. He's a guy who makes the end of the play. Screen pass, let the lineman go. Young's looking him off, looks to his right, comes back here to Waters. Guy McIntyre, 62, one of the best open field blockers in football. He knocks his man out of the picture. And watch what happens when 27, Thomas Everett comes in. Boom, that's the end of the play.
Back to punt is Wilmsmeyer. The Cowboys showing we're going to try to block it. Kevin Williams will let it bounce. A flag on the play. Into the end zone. No penalty now.
Started running in towards the referee is a guy that did throw the flag down there in the end zone.
We already saw perhaps Jimmy Johnson saying decline it. Don't give him another chance with that dangerous offense.
Jimmy Johnson declined it before he knew what it was.
Yeah.
I don't think the officials are sure what it was. See, the players in the 49ers sideline are starting to cramp up. You can see them working there on Mark Logan.
Ed Hockley. Perhaps this could be offsetting fouls. Let's see.
There was a double foul on the play. An illegal formation by the kicking team. The right side of the line was back off the line of scrimmage. By rule, that penalty is disregarded. There was also a post-possession foul by the receiving team, a holding, post-possession foul. The result of the play was a touchback. We will enforce to the 10-yard line. The receiving team will keep possession of the ball after the foul. First down.
Oh,
boy, hey. You know, why do people open their mouth to listen?
I don't know. I know why he opened his mouth to talk. What an audience he had. He got more airtime than we did.
What's in the bag? Lunch. Quarter pounder of cheese, fries. Kick you for it. You and me for my quarter pounder. First one that misses. I know. Watch as the winner eat. 50 order. Split the uprights. Barefoot. Helmet on backwards. Split the uprights. Out of the cup holder, off the scoreboard, and back through. Through the tunnel, hook it, off the stone guy, split the uprights.
These guys are good.
What you want is what you
Over the mountain, off the freeway, through the tunnel, off the scoreboard. Split the uprights.
10:02 left in the third quarter. Cowboys leading 16-10. They were not offsetting penalties. The one was enforced. That was against the Cowboys for holding. The other was illegal formation, I believe, was the initial call. That was disregarded. I'm not sure. First and 10. Cowboys have the ball at their own 10. Of that, I'm sure. Aikman back at the goal line. Steps up in the pocket. Dumps it off to Emmett Smith. Chased by Romanowski.
I'll tell you one thing about these good running backs today, Waters and Emmett Smith. The tackling has been very good. I mean, both of these teams are tackling well, because usually Emmett Smith and Ricky Waters, they have a lot of yardage after the first contact, but they don't have it today. And Romanowski has made a lot of those good tackles against Emmett Smith.
Devin Fagan back as the 49ers go back to that four-man front. And that's Darrell Johnston for the first down. Artie Smith also part of that defensive unit now.
I'll tell you, he better watch out, old Darrell Johnston, or he's going to start to be a cult figure down here. Every time he gets the ball, they go Moose. They give him that big boo. That's one of the advantage of being named like Moose or something, you know. If I ever went back to coaching again, I would have called myself Moose, because then you never know if they're booing you.
Oh, you need a Moose.
Yeah, they're just calling him Moose. Do some dumb call that boo you. Moose.
Now it's Novacek in motion. Pass is to Novacek. No, to Irvin, who broke two tackles. Michael Irvin has a first down. Michael Magruder finally made the stop.
You know, coming into this game, there was a lot of big stars, a lot of marquee names, but the guy that has been the star of the stars today is Michael Irvin. I mean, he came in here today to play football. I mean, he came in here today to, you know, always say make things happen and get out of tackles and make moves and get open. And Michael Irvin has done all those things. He'll be a little embarrassed there because he was caught from behind by Kevin Fagan, but other than that, he's had a good day.
That's 10 catches for 118 yards. That's Emmett Smith with the ball. Emmett to the 45. To the 40, beg your pardon. Dennis Brown tripped him up.
You know, Emmett Smith, of course, missed those first few games. Then he had a hamstring pull. And then he said today is the first time that he really felt well. And he's starting to make moves. You see the moves that he can make. He's reading his center there. And he saw that nose down. He wanted to take it up there. Then he saw he had a stalemate. And he knew that he had to take it and keep it outside.
2nd and 4. This is Harper at the bottom. Irvin goes up to the top of the picture. Smith again. That should be enough for the first. Washington made the stop.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see the results now of that wear down. You know, the 49er offense not helping, you know, by not being able to keep the ball. And then, again, that time of possession, you know, by itself, it doesn't mean a lot. But when you look at all the things that happen as a result of it, it does mean a lot. I mean, these guys are getting tired. They're starting to get pushed back off the line now. The running that wasn't there earlier is starting to be there now.
Aikman. For Harper. Got it. At the 20. Inside the 20. Brought down by Eric Davis.
They've been working Michael Irvin. They've been working the left side. They've been working against Magruder all day. And this time they said, let's not forget Alvin Harper. He's out there at the right side. Good pass protection. He runs right by Eric Davis for his first catch of the day.
36 yards on the game.
You know, this is why Emmett Smith is a great back. Because he not only runs and catches, but watch him make that block. If he doesn't block Mike Walter there, there's no completion. Emmett Smith gets a big part of that completion.
First down. Emmett carry. Got a couple.
David Smith near the
Dennis
17.
Brown made the stop along with Stubblefield.
You know, that was one of the reasons that I've always thought if I could take one running back, it would probably be Emmitt Smith because of that. I mean, he runs as well as any of them. He catches as well as most of them. And I think of all the running back types, he's the best blocker, especially as a pass protector like that. That was a big play by Emmitt Smith.
That's a pretty good endorsement. Aikman is 3 out of 3 in this half. Second and long. Michael Irvin had it and dropped it. He almost caught him in the middle of a push-off when he threw the ball.
Yeah, well, they'd been working that left side where Michael Magruder was playing. Then they went to work on Eric Davis. First of all with Alvin Harper, and then they try and throw the slant on Davis there to Michael Irvin. And Irvin thinks that he should get those kind because, you know, I mean, the big, strong guy that can just kind of out-muscle that smaller cornerback.
3rd and 8. Line of scrimmage is the 49er 18. They're expecting Dallas to throw it. Had it and lost it. To Harper.
Harper saying it's a touchdown. Aikman saying it's a touchdown. Michael Magruder's right there with him. It's up there at the top of the screen. And left, they're going back to work on Magruder. A little stop and go. A perfect pass. And again, he just got it out there. Now, if you have any possession in the end zone, it's a touchdown. You have to have possession. You have to have the ball and both feet down.
That's close.
That's very, very close.
No touchdown, however, and Eddie Murray comes on. He's 3 for 3 today. This one from 35 yards out with Novacek holding. That one is no good. Murray signaled good, but more importantly, the officials didn't think so. 16 to 10, 5:07 left third quarter. 16, San Francisco 10, 5:07 left in the third quarter. And the 49ers will start from their own 20. Waters and Logan behind Young. Rice in motion. Waters. 2.5, 3.
Let's look at that play again. This is normal speed now. This isn't slowed down. So this is what the official sees. I don't think that he had possession. I don't think that's a touchdown. If it was anything, though, Magruder had a hold of his left arm, and it could have been pass interference in the end zone. But I think as far as complete or incomplete, that was a good call.
Good call.
Complete.
Good call. Second down. Young. John Taylor out of bounds. 49er first down. Knocked out by Kevin Smith.
Steve Young got hurt on that play, Pat. I mean, he really took a hit after he threw that. You know, the last game they played against the Vikings, he had a concussion. I don't think that was in the head, but he took a pretty good shot there. I wonder how he even gets the ball out of there. Watch him here. He gets two guys coming up free in the middle. Norton hits him just as he throws the ball, and he still completes it to Taylor. But that's tough when you have to take on one yourself and step in and throw the ball to that same side.
49ers 35th play coming up. That's Logan, and he is breaking tackles and off into Dallas territory. Still struggling, still inside the 30. Boy, what a run this is by Mark Logan. Finally dragged down by Kevin Smith.
I tell you, he just hits this thing straight up the middle. Watch him. He's going to get in there. McIntyre pulls. It's a little trap in the middle. Ricky Waters makes a pretty good lead block right there. Logan runs two or just steps through two tacklers and then just ends up another 10 yards carrying one.
A 40-yard run for Mark Logan.
He had a couple blocks, stepped out of a couple tackles, and carried a couple 10 yards.
First down at the Dallas 30. Reverse coming to Rice. And it's pretty well set up. Young out in front to block. Rice inside inside the 15 to about the 12. Stopped by Larry Brown finally.
And I'll tell you, Steve Young made a pretty good block on that play. You know, Rice is going to come from the left here. We're going to hand to Waters, hand back to Rice. Now watch Steve Young lead. Now sometimes quarterbacks lead and they just run out of bounds. Right there, he just did enough so that Jerry Rice could cut off of that block or shield and cut back in and get another 5 or 6 yards.
Rice gave him a little push.
Oh, Jerry Rice hasn't caught a lot of passes, but again, if the 49ers offense is going to be successful, they need Rice.
1st and 10, they're going to shoot for the end zone, and they have Brent Jones. Touchdown.
That was a heck of a drive. That was what Steve Young told us yesterday, that when they got down there, they got down in that red zone, they were going to attack it. They were going to attack the end zone. And if you're going to do it, throw it into the end zone. Because it starts off again with good pass protection. Brent Jones, number 84, starts to the outside, gets behind Ken Norton. Perfect pass by Steve Young.
That's 6 catches for Jones today. Cofer for the extra point. And the 49ers recapture the lead. 17-16. 2:32 left to play in the 3rd quarter.
Can you
Let's watch the effect of motion here. When he comes in motion, he adjusts a little, he comes out a little, he comes out a little, and that lets Brent Jones get to the post. You see the motion? Norton comes out, up, the linebacker, the safety, and then that gives him a step behind Norton and gets the safety a step from getting over there.
Steve Young was 2 out of 2 on that drive. The 20-yard touchdown pass to Steve Jones. The big play, that run by Logan, 40. This is Kevin Williams. He'll stay in the end zone. Gant told him to stay there. It's 17-16, San Francisco leading Dallas. Brown and Washington combined to make the stop. 2nd and 7. Dallas from their own 23. Price checks in. Johnston checks out. Been busy for Emmitt Smith today, and he'll be the lone setback this time. 2nd and 7. Price on the move. And Aikman back to throw. Outside to Emmitt Smith, just about a 4-yard pass and about a 3-yard gain, stopped by Romanowski.
You know, when you have big guards and tackles, like you have Kevin Gogan and Eric Williams, just watch the size of these guys. And then here's Aikman's eyes now, and then you got these big guys in front of you, so it's hard to see. You know, you not only have to throw it to the guy, but you have to be able to find him. And you see it, there's a point where the quarterback can't see the guy. And you're looking right now, and you see these big guys in front of him. See, that's why he has to move a little to his right. When he set up, he couldn't see Emmitt Smith.
3rd down intended for Novacek. Covered by Romanowski. No flags. And the Cowboys will have to punt. Jimmy Johnston and the fans
Jimmy's upset about that because they had that one that could have been interference in the end zone and that one that could have been interference. Bill Romanowski is playing a heck of a game today.
He really is. John Jett back to punt. Dexter Carter for the 49ers. Bill Bates and Dale Hellisgray, who did the snapping for the punt, down to make the stop.
Can you find the Oldsmobile in this picture? We'll give you another try.
52 seconds left to play in the 3rd quarter. The 49ers lead by 1. See those luxury boxes on the far side of the field that are all painted white on the inside? There was a fire last Wednesday afternoon, and this crew here has done a remarkable job of getting them ready, as 12 of them were all but destroyed by that fire. But they're okay now. Fumble. And Dallas is signaling they got the ball. Out of there with it comes Casillas.
Russell Maryland's the guy that got the penetration. He's the guy that's doing the celebration. You need that. They had to get the momentum back. They had to get in there. They had to make something happen. Watch the penetration right up the middle. You see Maryland right there. He's the guy that knocks it out. He's the guy that did get the penetration, moved to his little right. He knocked the ball out of Logan's hands as he was coming across the backfield.
And Casillas made the recovery. So it's first down Cowboys at the 49er 39.
Couple of big plays by Cowboy defensive linemen today. Earlier, we remember the one that Charles Haley got when he knocked the ball out of Steve Young. And that time, that one was all Russell Maryland.
Darrell Johnson and Emmett Smith behind Aikman. And Johnson again gets the carry. The Moose gets down to about the 36. They are featuring him more today than they have in any game we've done. I know that.
Well, they don't, you know, with all those guys, Michael Irvin and Jay Novacek and Harper and Emmett Smith and all that, I think the only way the Moose is going to get the ball is if no one's guarding him or if Emmett Smith is tired.
Maybe featuring is a bad word. They're using him.
Eric Williams is starting to look like a tackle now. His shirt tails out. Now you're a tackle in a football game. This is a football game.
Second down. Aikman back to throw, going deep. And this is a touchdown. That is Michael Irvin. Magruder was the defender. 36-yard touchdown pass from Aikman to Irvin.
Michael Irvin is having a career day. You want to know what an all-pro looks like? Watch Michael Irvin here. He not only gets behind him, but he's a physical guy. He'll battle you all the way down the field.
11 catches for 154 yards for Irvin.
That's an all-pro day. And then a salute to the fans. You ought to salute his offensive line and Troy Aikman, too. Now, Michael Irvin is so big and so strong. Watch how he works his hands here. He just gets a hand out there once, a second hand out there, then he's looking at his eyes. He tries not to make his eyes look big when the ball's coming so the defender doesn't know when it's coming. But I'll tell you, in most battles for the football, when it's in the air, Michael Irvin will win 90% of them.
He juggled it on the way down, but his hands were quick enough to get it.
And you know the thing about him, he's wearing new shoes today, Pat. Remember we talked to him yesterday? And he was wearing those shoes there. He said he's worn turf shoes for 3 years, and he's going to try a new pair today. He wore them home last night. You'll probably never take those shoes off.
He wore them yesterday to break them in.
I know. He was breaking them in the pregame warm-up. Those are going to be his gamers from now on, probably for 3 years.
Gant is back in his act. He must have been in the band at some time.
Michael Irvin still celebrating his touchdown. Gant celebrating the oncoming kickoff coverage, and that's the way you celebrate a kickoff coverage, is you hit yourself in the head.
And get ready. Dexter Carter. The special teams are down in a hurry. Joe Fishback now to make the stop. That's the end of the third quarter with the score. Dallas 23, San Francisco 17. Our coverage will continue after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
This is
Dallas 23, San Francisco 17 as we start the fourth quarter at Texas Stadium. It's been just about the kind of game we expected. A lot of offensive firepower. Hot days for Aikman and Young. Michael Irvin's had a career day, 11 catches.
I think you'd expect a little more out of Jerry Rice and a little more out of running Ricky Waters.
Here's Steve Young. Taylor gets a 49er first down. Out of bounds at the 30.
Let's Kenneth Gant, number 29. We showed before how he got fired up and was firing up the crowd and everything. Then he runs down. Fishbeck makes the tackle. He starts celebrating. And that's a dance. I've never seen this move, but you dance right out of your hat. Now that's making some moves. I mean, when you can have that hat and it's strapped on your head and you can make moves, it takes that hat right off your head, you're moving.
You won't see that dance at the Follies. Ricky Waters. Jerry Rice has 2 receptions, 25 yards. Of course, he had that end around that picked up some key yardage before their last touchdown. Irvin 11 for 154 and the touchdown. That's his career high, the 11 receptions.
And of course, those are the 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers, 2 of the best receivers in football. I think if you had to pick one, everyone would always say it was Jerry Rice, but the way Michael Irvin is talking, it's hard not to say that right now, or right today, he's the best.
Here's Young, gets away from 1 sack, and he's off the running. Steve Young cut down at about the 44 by Darren Woodson.
I think if you had to pick any one thing, or one thing that has really been crisp in this game and puts a signature of a big game, it's been the open field tackling. You know, usually you see a lot of missed tackles. It seemed like the last 4 or 5 years, but this game has been very crisp and very good open field tackling.
Between these 2 teams, who are 2 of the very best.
Right, and that's one thing, and that's one of the Darren Woodson, who just made that tackle. That's one of the reasons that he's now the starting safety.
First down, San Francisco. Young back to throw. To Taylor. Taylor out of bounds at the Dallas 33. Norton knocked him out of bounds. They can move it in a hurry.
And you forget about John Taylor. You know, over the years, John Taylor used to be a punt returner, and we talk about guys catching the ball and then running after they catch. John Taylor at one time was one of the best in the game at that.
Big, strong guy. Obviously, he can catch it. And he was a great runner. He is a good runner after he catches the ball.
Well, you know, he broke his leg a year ago, and you know, you get a couple broken legs and some things, and you're not as quick and as good a runner as you used to be.
Young to Logan. Logan inside the Dallas 20 to about the 28. Stopped by Norton again.
You know, one thing I know that Steve Young is thinking there, and Mike Shanahan, of course, the offensive coordinator who calls the plays, is they know that they lost a year ago in the championship game to the Cowboys by getting down here and not attacking the end zone. The last time they were down there, they attacked it, they had the motion, they hit Brent Jones. And again, on this drive, I would expect them to attack the end zone again.
2nd and 5. They might get one more first down, or try to, before they go into that attack the end zone. As Rice in motion. Flag on the play.
I think that's a free play, Pat, because I think it was against Charles Haley. He was the defensive end on this side. He started to creep across. And I think he was in the neutral zone. You watch, it's right here. He just can't hold it. He's trying to watch the ball. He sees motion. He probably hears counts, and he starts to move a little. See, move a little. Then he moves a little more, then a little more, and he couldn't get back. The first move, he was okay.
Offsides at number 94 of the defense. 5-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
Offside Haley, so it's still 2nd down.
Attendance at today's game.
Haley plays mostly on the right side of the Cowboy defense, but when Jim Jeffcoat comes in, he's the old right defensive end for years. He plays the right side, then Haley comes over and plays the left defensive end.
65,099 in attendance today at Texas Stadium. That's the largest crowd since the reconstruction of the stadium. They're enjoying one whale of a show.
Now to pay these players the money they have to pay, Jerry Jones has to put seats everywhere he can find an empty slot.
2nd and 1. That's Logan straight ahead down to about the 11. Tripped up by Thomas Everett. Hey, this guy has done a heck of a job too.
I know, and Logan, he really slashes that one. He's going to go right to the left of the center here. Now this is what you have to do. You start and you take the good block right there. See the center just as Apollo blocks back. There's the trap right there. You get the trap by Guy McIntyre, and Logan runs right off that thing. That's the other good thing that Guy McIntyre does is trap block.
Trap Jimmy Jones. 1st and 10. That's Logan again to about the 7.
Logan inside the 10-yard line.
Stopped by Norton. Excuse me, John.
No, I was just saying the old trap block is where you let the guy come across like he's not blocked, and then the guard from the offside comes and kicks him out. The old quick trap, and that's what Guy McIntyre is. McIntyre's a good pulling guard, a good open field blocker, a good trap blocker.
A Pro Bowl player.
And a real competitor. I mean, a tough guy who comes out, gives you 60 minutes of competition.
2nd and 5 at the 7. 2 tight ends now. Jamie Williams and Brent Jones. Outside to Brent Jones, dragged down by Darren Smith just as soon as he caught it.
Well, they tried to get that same adjustment, Pat. They only had one back in the backfield. Then they sent him in motion. Ricky Waters, they sent him in motion to the right, then tried to throw to the left. Last time they did that, they got a touchdown, but it was a post. Watch what happens. You'll see Waters is going to come in motion towards us. He's coming in motion. Now there's no one in the backfield. They try and get the adjustment to come to this side and then throw back against the motion.
3rd and about 5 to go. The ball's at the 6-yard line of Dallas.
No matter how far the journey.
For a 1st down at the Dallas 6.
I don't know, but the coaches and players are on the sideline again. They're yelling something. George Seifert's on the field. I think they had to be trying to get the officials' attention because they'd just come off a timeout, so they had their players' attention.
Steve Young is 6 out of his last 6. Waters is the lone setback, not behind Young, but over to his right. They roll that direction. That ball is deflected, intended for Rice. Somebody got a hand up.
Did someone get a hand up, or was that just a bad throw? Because usually when Steve Young runs, he runs to his left. This is going to be a little different. Watch, he's going to roll out or sprint to his right. See, he turns out there, is going to try and throw to his right and then throw back. I think that was just a bad
nobody
throw.
touched it. You're right.
I think
Just took off.
I think he threw like a split-fingered fastball. With that thumb that's 3 times the size of the other thumb took over. And he said sometimes some ugly things happen with that thumb.
And an ugly thing happened right here. As the snap on the field goal attempt was buffed. And the Cowboys will take over. The snap was high.
I think you go back to the 2nd down play, the 3rd down play. The 49ers said they were going to attack the end zone. They didn't attack the end zone, and then it backfired on them.
George Seifert's back out on the field again. And the 49ers are yelling something at the official. Ed Hockley is the referee.
The backward pass was never possessed by Dallas. San Francisco recovered it on a 4th down. Therefore, Dallas takes over on downs. 1st down.
So it really didn't make any difference who recovered it.
And we'll see the snap here was a good snap. Just goes right through his hands. I mean, there was no problem there. He just didn't catch it. You get 2 kickers back there, you're going to have something bad happen. And when it does happen, they're not going to make something good out of it.
Ralph Cam is the snapper. Klaus Wilmsmeyer, the punter, is the holder. 2 kickers, as you said.
That's right. And Wilmsmeyer just went right through his hands. Then he couldn't do anything about it after it goes through his hands.
Looks like Holford might be hurt. Here's Aikman. Going deep for Harper. Incomplete.
You know, know, the interesting thing, Pat, Don Griffin is back in there at the right corner. Oh, and now a late penalty comes out. Oh, that was a late one. That one came out a minute after the play was over.
They're walking back to the huddle.
Well, whatever way this goes, it was sure late. Someone talked him into that. I think you either see it and throw the flag or you don't throw the flag. But Don Griffin, who supposedly had a dislocated shoulder, went out in the first half, is back now at right corner.
Ed Hockley's had a busy day. Exercised his entire vocabulary.
That was a late flag, though.
That's the simple way of saying it.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on the San Francisco bench. 15-yard penalty, first down.
On the bench.
That's why it was a late flag, because it wasn't called. It wasn't called against either player. It was called against the sideline. That's Mark Baltz. What they said was that it was against the bench, that they were interfering with the official.
Right. That was the bandage on Kofer's leg you saw. The ice pack on his left leg, I believe. Not the kicking leg.
I think what he was doing is telling him to get back, and they didn't get back. He called a penalty on him. He's still pointing to him to get back.
1st and 10. Dallas at their own 49. That's Emmitt Smith. They get the ball nudged into San Francisco territory.
Yeah, if you look at the play before, it's going to be right down here in the bottom left. If there is anything, it's going to be right down there. And you see the coach there, that there was a 49er or someone in a red shirt hit the official. And you see it right here, and he goes down. The official goes down. So then, see, he didn't call anything on that play.
Right.
Then he got up late and thought that it was a penalty against the 49ers because it was a guy in a red shirt.
So it's called against the sideline. Here's Aikman. Gets away from one rusher. Slides close to a first down, and a flag on the play. Aikman went feet first into the pile. George Seifert disgusted with the way things are going right now.
Well, when you go feet first, that's a give up. And the rule for a give up, if a quarterback goes feet first, you can't hit him. If he goes head first, you can hit him. Right now, after he does that, you can't hit him.
Fagan got him to the head.
Late hit by the defense, number 75. The quarterback slid, giving himself up. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Boy, that's tough, though. I mean, here you're chasing the guy. You don't know which way he's going. You got the full body going, and you just go right over the top of him. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to call. And it's hard to run all the way across and to stop, but that's a rule. If the guy goes head first, he gives up, you can't hit him.
1st and 10 at the San Francisco 27. 2 penalties and a wild field goal attempt. I don't think you call that a drive. That's Emmitt Smith inside the 25. Right now, again, for an NFL update, back to our studios in New York.
Pat and John in Phoenix. Watch Johnny Bailey right up the middle, 14 yards and a touchdown for the Cardinals, who beat the Redskins in Week 2. They're rolling over Washington today, 29-6 in the 4th. Pat?
Here at Texas Stadium, it's 23-17. The Cowboys lead. They have the ball at the 49er 23.5-yard line.
The 49ers were moving. Go back that 2nd down play where they threw that short out, and then that 3rd down play where they sprinted right and tried to throw back.
That's Emmitt Smith. He got some room this time. Smith out of bounds at about the 15. Chased down by Tim McDonald.
One thing about Emmitt Smith, he's going to hang in there, you know, and he's going to give you a full day's work. He's going to run that thing. I mean, he's already had 22 runs, 92 yards, and it's not a spectacular day. I mean, this is an average day for Emmitt Smith, and he's probably going to gain over 100 yards just on an average day. course, Michael Irvin had the great day for the Cowboys.
Irvin goes split to wide to the right. Harper is left, and Novacek is on the move. Emmett Smith again. Behind the line by McDonald. Emmett Smith says he never gets tired. I'm not sure that I'm convinced of that.
Yeah, well, he does, but he just never admits it. But watch what you have to do. Once you have trouble with the run, you got to get your 8th guy involved. The 8th guy is the safety, and that's Tim McDonald. So you got 7 on the line of scrimmage. Then they start to run. Now watch 46 come up just like a linebacker. They don't account for him, and he's going to make the tackle.
Well, you asked George Seifert yesterday if this guy had been what you expected him to be, and he said yes, he's done everything we thought he would. There's Aikman. Irvin is out of bounds at about the 4. Enough for the first down.
I'll tell you, if Michael Irvin keeps going like this, they're going to illegalize him. I mean, he's done short ones and inside patterns and outside patterns, used his hands, not used his hands. Watch how he uses his feet here. Catch the ball, boom, 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 and then take that ball outside.
Give Aikman some credit. That ball was right there.
And how about the pass protection? Look at the time that he has. I mean, it's the whole thing. If the line doesn't do their job, then you're not going to have it. If Aikman doesn't make the throw, Irvin's not going to make the catch. But these guys have all their parts working.
First and goal from the 4. Emmett Smith trying to get around the corner. He won't. Lost yardage. Kevin Fagan in pursuit, along with Martin Harrison.
Yeah, that was good defense by Martin Harrison, too, because Emmett Smith knew they just stayed right on that inside shoulder, and he was either going to cut back and have a heck of a collision with Martin Harrison, or he's going to run out of bounds. Emmett Smith ran out of bounds.
Yeah. He said to us yesterday, you asked him, when do you run out of bounds? And he said, I can't get any more by cutting back.
I want to live to run the next play.
Yeah. Timeout, Dallas. 5:13 left to play. 23-17, the Cowboys lead it. Dallas has run 72 plays. The 49ers only 46. The score is 23-17. Dallas has its second goal. The ball at the 6. And incomplete. Harper was the intended receiver. Good coverage. Eric Davis.
Intended for Alvin Harper.
They're just going to run this quick up, just a 3-step. 1, 2, 3. Boom, just throw it up over his outside shoulder. You try and get it right to that pylon, so either your guy Harper gets it or no one gets it. He left it a little inside. That should be over the outside shoulder, right at that second pylon back there.
Harper, 6'4", was a high jumper in college, so he can get up there, and that's what they're trying to take advantage of. That's Harper in motion. Here's Aikman. That's at about the 1-yard line. Novacek. I wonder if they go for it now.
Well, I would think not, because with a 23-7 lead, if they don't get it, the 49ers could beat them with a touchdown. So now, by kicking a field goal here, which they're going to do, then the 49ers need 2 scores.
Remember, again, against the Colts last week, they ran a fake field goal with Novacek just walking in for a touchdown.
I would be shocked if they would fake it here. I think they need just 3.
They do. No question about it. They got it. So, with 4:21 left now, it's 26-17 Dallas.
Working to be the best they can be. Teammates, sponsored by the U.S. Army. The offensive resurgence of the Giants under new coach Dan Reeves has been paced by the heady leadership of Phil Simms and artful running of Rodney Hampton, number 27. The spectacular performance of the youngster, and steady play of the veteran have made the Giants contenders once again and helped the team to be the best it can be.
Elvira here, Mistress of the Dark and sometimes Surfer Babe, because Coors Light is the official beer of Halloween, and the party's at the beach, Malibu Beach, where you can hang ten. Look, Frankie and Annette. And of course, when it's time to chill, just reach for that cooler of Coors Light. Aged ice cold, never frozen stiff. It's the right beer now for Halloween. Just look for the Silver Bullet Smooth display and dig up your friends now for a party at the beach. Happy Halloween, dudes.
4:21 left to play at Texas Stadium. Dallas 26, San Francisco 17. Murray set to kick off, and Gant set to do something.
I've never seen anyone fire up a kickoff coverage like Gant before. I've never seen this in all my years in football, as this being that big a play.
It's going to be Dexter Carter. And the wave gets him.
I'll tell you one thing about Gant, though, Pat. He gets fired up before, but then he flies down that field. I mean, he flies down that field like a wild man.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, he goes through all this, but some guys don't run down there as quickly as others. I mean, he's going down there with a full head of speed.
I'll tell you what. The only thing he's missing is the landing gears.
But, you know, he brings all the other guys with him, too. You know, it's not like he goes there. I mean, all the other guys. And I think that whole thing is infectious. And I think a big part of it is Jimmy Johnson, because he really believes in the kicking game.
Young back to throw it from the 20. Pass is complete to Rice. That's his first pass that he's caught since the second quarter.
Yeah, and you have to give credit, I think, to Larry Brown and Kevin Smith, to the corners of the Cowboys. I mean, here it's Larry Brown out here. Rice is on the left side. He gives him a little cushion. But when Rice catches the ball, he's right there, makes a tackle, discourages him from thinking that he's going to be a big play.
2nd and 5. Young steps it up. Caught by Rice. As he rolled out of bounds. First down, San Francisco. It stops the clock.
Yeah, and Jerry Rice, you just get the feeling he's thinking, look, we could have done this all day. You know, put me out there in the left, put me out there, and Larry Brown, and just throw me the ball. And that's why that field goal really helped the Cowboys, because it made a different game out of here. Now the 49ers can't go down and win with a touchdown.
They got to have 2 scores.
Yeah, they have to get one now and then think in terms of another one. So they got to get this first one quickly.
1st and 10. They have 2 of their 3 timeouts remaining. Young gets it out to Logan. He's out of bounds in Dallas territory, knocked out by Kevin Smith, but it's a first down, San Francisco.
One thing, the 49ers can move the ball. They're going now with no huddle. Again, I think the thing that's going to haunt them is when they got inside that 20, that 2nd and 3rd down play, and then, of course, the 4th down play being the field goal. They just kind of came unraveled the last time they got down there.
1st and 10, San Francisco at the Dallas 48. 3.5 minutes left to play. The handoff is to Logan. Norton was there in a hurry, along with Darren Smith.
Mark Logan, written down by number 59 Darren Smith and number 51 Ken Norton.
49ers up in a hurry. Young doesn't see, and behind him is Charles Haley. Young never saw it.
And Charles Haley keeps fighting and fighting and fighting. He lined up on the left side. He was going against Harris Barton. He got around Barton. He just kept going and going and going until he finally got to Steve Young. Watch him down here in the bottom. 94. See, he hits with the left, does a rip with the right, goes beyond him, but then he keeps coming back. A lot of ends will go beyond and then stay out there. Haley goes beyond, and then whap, he comes back and makes a play.
So Haley gets a sack.
And that's his second big play. Remember the first one when he got the sack and the fumble on Steve Young. Charles Haley makes things happen. He raises havoc.
This is a San Francisco timeout. So they will have only one left with 3:05 left to play. 26-17. Those of you who watched Phoenix overwhelm the Redskins 36-6. We're at Texas Stadium, where it's been a tough fought battle. The Cowboys leading 26-17. Michael Irvin has been the hero of the day for the Cowboys. This is Young, pulls it down, and take off with it. Chased from behind by Jeffcoat. And Jeffcoat gets Steve Young down.
Hey, that's the second play by a Cowboy defensive lineman just hustling. 2 plays ago, Haley did it. This time, Jeffcoat did it. Just stay with it, stay with it, stay with it, and you finally get it.
And it's 4th down. And about 7. And Young back to throw. Ducks away and is taken down, this time by Jimmy Jones. And that should do it. Young slow getting up. Again, he didn't see the man coming from behind.
3 big defensive line plays in a row. The first one, Haley. The second one, Jim Jeffcoat. And the third one, Jimmy Jones.
And there's the owner of the Cowboys, Jerry Jones.
And the 49ers battled him. The 49ers had him going.
Steve Young.
Steve Young's thinking
disgusted.
Yeah, when he needed the protection, he didn't get it. But I still think it all started on that last drive. That's when it was.
Well, you know, in every case almost, the protection wasn't that bad. The rushers came from behind Steve Young.
Just stayed with it.
Here's Emmett Smith, flag on the play. Smith, clock continues to run. John Johnson brought him down.
And that's going to be holding against the Cowboys. And that referee throws it back behind the line after the play is about 20 yards away from him. You know it's going to be holding on the offense.
Today's game was produced by Bob Stinner and directed by Sandy Grossman. Coordinating producer of the NFL today is Eric Mann.
Holding on the offense, number 79, 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
NFL Today, directed by Larry Cavallina. Senior producer of the NFL on CBS is Ed Doran. The executive in charge of production is Rick Gentile. 2:23 left.
I think you look at that huddle and that offensive line, they did a heck of a job for the Cowboys because they were the guys, like we talked about earlier, that made the blocks and let Troy Aikman throw the ball so that Michael Irvin could make the catches.
That was Novacek on the move, and the handoff again to Emmett Smith. Emmett gets a couple. Stopped by Ted Washington.
Timeout, San Francisco.
Timeout, San Francisco. That'll be their last one. This game is presented by authority of the National Football League, and this CBS telecast is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of CBS, the Dallas Cowboys, and the National Football League is prohibited. 26-17 with 2:15 left. The Cowboys, led by Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin, lead the game 26-17.
You know, you look at Troy Aikman now, and when you think after watching him that if you had to say who's the best quarterback in football right now, that it would have to be Troy Aikman.
I think based on the last stretch of games, not just this one, but he certainly had to be the best right now.
When a quarterback gets in sync or he gets a feeling or whatever he gets, Troy Aikman has.
Good size, good toughness, good command of what he wants to do and what North Turner, the offensive coordinator, wants done. He sees a lot. and does a lot.
Yeah, and then reading, you know, and being able to see it and read it and then do something about it.
Emmitt Smith again. Stopped by McDonald. 2:09. And now we'll probably get the 2-minute warning before we get another play underway. 2 minutes left at Texas Stadium. Come your way as soon as this game is over. We have 2 minutes left at Texas Stadium. The Cowboys have it. 3rd down and about 18 to go. So the 49ers will have another offensive chance. The handoff to Emmitt Smith, and he is nailed by Dennis Brown. Here's the Cowboys' schedule the next 5 weeks. A bye next week. Then the Philadelphia game at Philadelphia. That's been changed, by the way, to a late game, a 4 o'clock start. Then here against the Giants, and then Phoenix the next week, and then at Atlanta. And that might not be as simple as it once looked like it might be.
You know, especially the Giants. I mean, you think of the surprise teams in football, and I think that the New York Giants and Dan Reeves and Phil Simms and what they've done has to be one of the biggest surprises, at least to me.
And to me. A minute and 16 seconds stop left on the clock, and it's stopped right now. Next 5 weeks for San Francisco. Phoenix, then the Rams, then another bye. They just had a bye last week. At Tampa Bay, and then New Orleans. New Orleans lost today. Lost badly.
Yeah, you know, and that Phoenix thing doesn't look as easy as it did earlier because they beat the Redskins today. But I think that George Seifert knows that he has a good team. And maybe they're just not the best team, but they're still a playoff team. They're still one of the top teams in the National Football League. And this is going to be a tough defeat for them because they came very close to winning this game.
Remember that Phoenix beat San Francisco last year. One of the few teams that did. John Jett back to punt to Dexter Carter.
The only good thing that happened to the 49ers today is that the Saints lost, so they didn't lose another position in their division.
Good kick by Jett. Signals fair catch does Dexter Carter. Back at the 11-yard line. Flag on the play back at the line of scrimmage. Elvis Patterson was down right in Carter's face, holding against Dallas. A minute 9 left. 26-17. Joe Avisano, who coaches the Dallas special teams, he said to me before the game, who else would make a trade like we just made? Trade
holding
for special
on the
team
kicking
players.
Team number 58. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 4th down.
And you know, and picking up an Elvis Patterson, who is a Pro Bowl special team guy, a Pro Bowl cover guy. And Joe Avisano does a great job of coaching this group. And I think Jimmy Johnson lets him coach. You know, I mean, lets him, you know, puts a priority on it. Like you say, who else would go out and trade for a guy just to cover kicks? Because that's an important part of it. And as we talk about what the Cowboys did today offensively and defensively, they also excel in coverage teams.
Jett will punt again. 49ers are coming after it. Very nearly got there. No penalty this time. Fair catch signal at about the 21 by Dexter Carter.
Elvis Patterson has learned already, Pat. He's giving salutes, and we were talking about making a trade for Elvis Patterson. Watch, first guy down. He knows it's a fair catch, but if that guy's going to drop that ball, Elvis is going to be right there to get him.
Well, he said his nickname before had been Toast when he was a defensive back because they said he'd been burned so many times. Now he says, I want to be known as the Ghost, so nobody will know where I am.
Yeah, and even when he was Toast, he used to say, it's not toast because I've been burned, it's toast because I'm the toast of the town.
Optimistic. Rice is the intended receiver, and he is nailed by Washington. Jerry Rice by James Washington. He changed directions in a hurry, and a flag on the play.
If you look at the dangerous things in football, I think...
Personal foul on the defense, number 37. 15-yard penalty, first down.
I think that's one of the most dangerous right now. You know, that inside of the field at about 10 or 15 yards. Right there where Jerry Rice is right now. I think of the dangerous things, I think those are the things that happen. Now, they said he went to the head.
I don't think so.
No. And you can, if you start at the shoulders, it's okay to go to the head. You can't start at the head. I think he hit him in the shoulders, and then the hand just went up.
First down, San Francisco. The pass to Rice, who's hit again. But makes the catch.
But I think with the fines and everything that's happening in there, I think the officials are getting kind of overly cautious on that thing. Or maybe you can't get overly cautious on it. Maybe that's what they have to do to protect players, which I think is the most important thing they can do out there in the field.
Young stopped the clock with 31 seconds left. Let's go back and look at that hit by Washington again.
Again, now you can't hit him in the head first, but if you hit him in the shoulders first, then you come up to the head. That's okay. I think the initial contact was in the shoulders, and I would say that was okay. I mean, football's a tough game. This is a violent game, and there's going to be violent hits. And I think that was probably just a tough hit.
Well, if they're not hits, not necessarily like that, but nothing wrong with that one. You won't see nearly as many people in the stands. It's to Rice again. He's tripped up.
Yeah, that's what I'm sure what everyone is thinking now is, you know, why did they wait until they got 2 scores behind to get Jerry Rice involved in the game? 49er fans are probably thinking that. Jerry Rice is probably thinking that. He'd only caught 2 passes up until they got behind by 2 scores. And then he was in a position where it was going to be not enough too late.
Steve Young stopped the clock by grounding the ball. Brock Marion checks out. Russell Maryland checks in. 4th and 1. Young outside the Logan. First down for San Francisco. But the clock continues to run. And Young's going to have to stop it in a hurry if he gets off another play. He'll get off one more.
Well, if you had some rule where you could get like 9 points for a play, that'd be the one you'd want to call here.
Well, remember, the kicker, Kofer, was hurt back on that field goal that went awry for the 49ers. I don't know if he'd be able if they needed a field goal.
Well, like I said, they got 2 seconds and they need a 9-pointer.
I don't think that's in the book. Here's Young chased by Jeffco. Steve Young scrambles down inside the 10, but the clock runs out. And Dallas, a hard-fought victory over San Francisco, 26-17.
Laura Glenn is being dragged down by it.
On Madden, this is Pat Summerall saying so long from Texas Stadium, where the final score was Dallas 26, San Francisco 17. 60 minutes is next, except on the West Coast and in the Mountain Time Zone. You've been watching CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League.